We gotta do it again. Ready? Okay. So, since it's Father's Day, I wanted to, excuse me, give a very, very happy Father's Day to my dad. So, like, whenever my dad used to like to tell his story, you know, that, and this is usually how he would tell people. It would be in Spanish, but this is how he would tell people if I had to translate it. In the year 1947, on October 15th,
Okay.
a little boy was born to Rufino and Encarnacion Martinez, and they named him Jesus Rufino Martinez.
To Rufino
and Encarnacion.
Oh, wow.
That's my grandmother. That's my father's parents.
So her first name was?
Encarnacion. People used to call her Encarna for short. Carna, you know. Call her grandma.
Does that begin with?
E.
Okay. E. Okay.
Encarnacion. Just like it sounds.
Okay, cats in the cradle.
But that's how my dad used to love starting a story that way. My dad was a really
47.
Huh?
Wow.
1947.
Okay.
Yeah. He's old now. 70.
Wow, he was born, I think, World War II was just kind of like kicking up.
Oh, you're testing my knowledge on that one. My dad was a great dad. You know, he was born in Spain. He went into the military early.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have some pictures of him. I can't even believe it. I dug into the photo albums last night, and I'm so happy to find this picture. Oh. I know this looks like he's probably a prisoner somewhere in Mexico, but don't let the outfit fool you.
I know you say he's in the military, but is this the POW camp?
I know. So sorry.
Your dad's always the shortest guy in the room, even in the POW camp.
Yeah, my dad is all of 5'1".
Wow.
Yeah. My grandma.
But he seems bigger than that.
Because he's always been a built person, you know, and it's really from working construction and lifting. He'll tell you it's from lifting cinder blocks. He has lifted hundreds, if not thousands, of cinder blocks. And he was always really, really built. But because he's short, he kind of reminds you, you know, those short Italian guys with the big bellies, you know what I mean? And with the short legs. That's kind of like how my dad is built. But his arms were he had these muscles that were insane, you know. And I mean, to me, to somebody else. Now, my dad was extremely hairy. He is covered in hair from the neck all the way down to his ankles. I mean, he used to wear a Speedo, a leopard print Speedo when we were younger with his belly and all, and he was just proud of it. And to me, my dad is just the cutest little nugget ever.
Get into this picture. Do you have any idea how old he is in this picture? Or any guesstimation?
He is probably in his late teens to very early 20s.
Wow. So he's probably younger than you were when I met you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure he is. He was working I believe this picture, this is his work outfit. He was in the Navy, in the Spanish Navy. And he went into the Spanish Navy at 17.
Oh, okay.
And he said he didn't know where he was going. He just knew that he wasn't going to war because they didn't put a gun in his hand. And he was okay with that. And, you know, my father's story is he's a very simple person.
What did they call their seamen?
I don't have no clue. My dad, he only told me about the fun things he did in the military. He never really told me about what it was like, what the military was like, and what it was like being in the military.
How did this picture come about? Do you know?
I don't know the story behind this picture.
Oh, okay. But it was obviously it's a picture that your mom had long before, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate that I don't have the stories behind a lot of these very old pictures. And, you know, it isn't until you get a little older that you appreciate finding things like this and you just wish that you knew the story behind them.
It's important.
So, unfortunately, my father has...
especially now when it's really difficult to get
Parkinson's,
that story.
and so he gets very forgetful. It's kind of hard to get him to recall some things now. So you know, but yeah, this is him starting off very, very young.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to the next one.
Yeah, we can put the next one up now. This is my dad. This is in 1976.
Wow.
I was a year old. That's me.
Look at
Young
you.
JMC. Just so cute. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I was so adorable.
Tenderoni.
I know. And I was the firstborn for my dad. It was his little girl.
Okay.
And he's so awesome. This is going to make me cry.
And so, where was this in Newark?
Yes, this is the first place we lived in Newark on Prospect Street.
Oh, okay.
My father had bought an apartment, had rented an apartment, and he fully furnished it before he married my mom because he wanted to have everything ready. And that's where we lived.
And at this point, it's just you.
Me, my mom, and my dad.
Wow.
Yep, that was a year before everything just changed. I still have a widow's peak. That's so funny. And my dad wore his mustache like that with handlebars for ever.
Yeah, forever. He still does to a certain extent.
Yeah, he loves his mustache. Like and he looks better with a mustache too.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah, I
the
think so as well.
nose.
I think so
but
as well.
sideburns, he always loved his sideburns. They're not as long anymore, but they're not that much shorter either.
And there you go with the big hairy arms and neck and chest.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. I mean, you can see it on his shoulders, and we have a couple more just to show how.
On to the next.
Yeah, how fun my dad won. Okay, so he's not high. He might be a little tipsy, but my dad liked to have fun.
And he likes his cigars. He liked
Oh,
them.
loved his cigars. He even burnt my son on his tip of his nose with a cigar by accident one time because he forgot he had it in his mouth and he went to kiss him.
So.
Yeah, you see where I get my nose?
Yeah, I was gonna say there goes the Martinez nose. Looks like he's having a good time in there.
Yep, that's where I get all my good looks from. Thanks, Dad. I'm glad I don't look like my mom.
And you got your dad eyebrows.
Yeah, we have really good eyebrows on that side. I'm so glad. I could have turned out completely different. I could have been blonde with pasty skin.
So, what did your dad like? Was there anything physical that he liked to do for fun in terms of like? Did your dad like to?
My dad wasn't an exerciser. He wasn't a runner. My dad liked to go and do things. He's a lot like we are with our kids now, like I am with my kids now. We like to go. He used to love just visiting new places he's never been to and exploring, as much as he could in the simplest ways sometimes. If, my dad did own successful businesses, so he was able to take us on more extravagant adventures where things cost money to explore,
Yeah.
But for the most part, like we would go, there was for years in the summer, as soon as the beaches opened, every Saturday morning it was Saturday morning, we would go fishing at Point Pleasant,
Okay.
him and I, and we'd have a great time.
Was he a good fisher or
He was excellent.
Oh, okay.
Because he would buy the worms, and they were the worms with all the legs, and you'd have to like cut them up into pieces because they're really long, and then and they would still be moving, and you'd have to put them on the hook, and it was so gross. And he did it every time for me. I'd be like, another one, because my fish always ate my bait. I barely caught any, so he was. He'd put his pole down. And he was so patient always. And we would sit there and eat fried chicken that my mother would make us from the night before and have just a great time.
How was your pop as like a provider kind of guy? Was he?
Oh, he did everything he needed to do. He was the one that worked. Like my mom stayed home and she took care of the house and she took care of us,
Okay.
And for that, my dad worked we didn't even see him when we would get up in the morning. He would already be gone for work because he would leave before the sun even came up. And we wouldn't eat dinner until like 8 o'clock at night because that's when he would come home from work.
Okay.
And we always sat down and ate as a family. And he gave us everything we needed. So, he, like I said, he was always like that. Like when he knew that him and my mom were going to get married, he paid for an apartment for a full year. He paid it up front, and he furnished the whole thing with just beautiful furniture. And that was because he wanted to have a place to bring her to after they got married. He didn't want to not have anything or stay with people. And then 2 years after Vicky was born, him and my mom bought a house, and this is just, my mom did work for a little bit before she had me, but everything after that really was on my dad. He bought the cars, he bought the toys. He bought the vacations. He took us to Mexico.
He was old school, responsible dad.
Oh, yeah. He did everything. I can't complain. He provided absolutely. Now, my mother managed the money, but my dad brought enough in to take care of us and give us anything we wanted.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, can't say more about my dad. We have a couple of other pictures.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them with.
Yeah. Did he have? I'm just kind of like vibing it, taking it all in. Did he have a pet name for you, or did he have anything that he called you in particular?
No, not really. He called me Jackie. He never called me like when my mom would call me, because he wasn't my name, and I didn't. I don't care how that it translates into my name. It just wasn't my name.
Okay.
My mother would call me Jacqueline, but in their dialect,
Yeah.
and it so sounds ugly, and I hated it. But no, he always called me Jackie. He would call me Jackie.
Oh, you're not like princess or
No, when I was a kid,
my
maybe
love.
Jaquinia, something like
Okay.
that. But no pet names, not like princess or anything.
Not for
like
any of you guys.
that. For Suso, he used to call him something that he knew Suso would get. Sometimes a little bothered by, but it was funny. Suso used to eat a lot of Doritos, and he would call him Dorito Martinez.
Dorito Martinez. That's funny.
Every time I would bring him around, he would he'd be like, "Hey, Dorito Martinez, you want some Doritos?"
So he was a ball buster.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was. He was a ball buster, and that's where I get my sense of humor from. He was always I don't remember a time or a picture. We don't have any pictures where my dad wasn't smiling. I don't know anybody that has one bad thing to say about my dad. My dad was always the life of the party. You could take him anywhere. He's not one of those pain in the asses that, get kind of annoying after a while, or maybe when they drink or something like that. My dad was never that kind.
Okay.
I mean, he loved to dance. He loved to sing. He was not ashamed of doing any of that.
Was he a good dancer?
In his way, he was a good dancer. He knew how to dance.
He had rhythm.
Yes, he
Oh.
did. He had rhythm. his legs did most of the work. He was musical, as you could see.
But was he playful, or did he actually have a outside of I guess?
He didn't have any talents, if that's what you're
Well,
asking.
what I was going to ask is outside of, I guess, the skills of crafting, being a craftsman, or being hands-on, construction and stuff like that. Did he have any other kind of skills or hobbies or anything along those lines?
My dad was an excellent bricklayer. He designed and put up a lot of things in our house, like the deck around our pool. He made the marble table in our backyard. I
So
mean,
that was his hobby, just doing what needs to be done.
yes, and it was kind of impressive because this is a person who didn't go past the 4th grade. And even in the 4th grade, it's not like he knew the basics. So, it's in a lot of construction and architecture, you need to know your numbers,
Yeah.
you need to know your measurements. And my dad was excellent at that. And he was part of building a lot of things in New York and New Jersey, a lot of buildings that are there now. He was part of building a lot of those. So he was really, really excellent at, just putting things together. And he was a smart guy. He may not have spoken English the best, but if you spoke to him, you could tell that he wasn't a dumb guy.
No.
You know what I
That
mean?
was very
So,
intelligent.
and like I said, and he knew his shit. He wasn't political, but he knew his shit. He knew his Spanish history and things like that. And in the end, all he really wanted to do was just have fun. He was never a let's talk some serious stuff right now kind of person. You know what I mean? If it came up, and he gave his opinion, and that was it. But he always had a good time. It's funny because a lot of these pictures, my dad's either got a beer or there's a bottle of wine or a cigar. But
So,
my dad liked wine. We're
what
Spanish.
was his? Did he have a plan, like in terms of what he wanted to do? How he saw his life going out. Meaning, by the time you guys came around, was it, hey, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to retire here, and then I'm going to do or was he just living?
He had the same plan from the beginning and never changed at any point in his life. He was a simple guy, so he was going to work, and that's what he came to America for. He was going to work. He was going to support his family. He was going to make some money, build some money, and then, he's going to retire after a long life of working, and he always said he would move back to Spain when he retired because, you know, there's a difference between retiring here and sitting in your backyard and staring at a brick wall and retiring in Spain and sitting in your front yard and staring at the beach, you know, for the rest of your life. So, and dude, I totally respect that. So,
And he did it.
and he did it.
He's
and,
doing it
you
now,
know, he
yeah.
inspired me. So,
Yeah.
my dad's handlebar mustache. Like I told you, throughout the years, it doesn't change.
Did
He
did
keeps
he
it.
do anything to it? Or did it that's just
No, that's
he
the way it
woke,
grows.
He woke up like that.
Oh, no. So his whole face fills in with beard.
Okay.
So he does cut around that to shape him that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One time he would have him come down all the way down to his chin. He's done the whole like goatee thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's done that.
Did he get the middle soul patch?
He does get it. He does get it. I think he shaves it off though.
Oh, okay.
But that thing comes in. I used to hate it. There were times when he would come home from work. We would always be so happy to see him because my mom was just so hard to be with. So when he would come home from work at the end of the night, we would run to, and he loved it. He'd pick us up and he'd kiss us, and then he'd rub his face on ours, and his beard was so prickly and itchy. He used to give us rashes.
I don't think I've ever seen him with a full-on beard.
Oh, you haven't seen it grown in?
Maybe, but not to the point where it all seems uniform. Like,
I
like
might
his
have some more pictures where it looks like it's starting to grow in.
his
You can
mustache
kinda see
always seems to stand out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, his mustache is definitely, his mustache and his nose are his most defining features. It's almost as if
They
you
look like
bought-
they're attached.
Yeah, it's almost as if, those glasses you buy that come with the nose and the mustache. He's like, it's almost like it was made after him.
Like, hey, is he a spy?
I know.
Like one of those disguises you use.
He was confused for someone else in New York many years ago. I was probably a teen. I was in my late teens. Anyway, he was confused for some kind of like mafia Italian guy somewhere in Manhattan.
I've always said the younger pictures of your brothers, and I mean your uncles and your dad. Yeah,
it was mistaken identity.
I mean, and even in this picture here, doesn't he look like he could? Does he look like a typical Spaniard in this picture?
Yeah, to me he does. If you know Spaniards, we grew up in a community of them in Jersey, so a lot of them look like my dad. But my dad was unique, so he had that specialness that really made him stand out. But
I always felt like your dad had a different hue, a different complexion than
probably
a lot
because he worked outside most of his life, so
Yeah.
his skin adapted to the sun. So he tanned so well.
Yeah, I can see that.
Unlike some Spaniards don't, because they're olive complexion. They're a little more sensitive. But my dad, my dad really, really tans super well. He just beautiful brown color.
And that, because I feel like even that, it might be subtle, but I think your dad's Uncle Manny, I think his tint just slightly darker than Uncle Manny's.
My Uncle Manny, he's pretty fair skinned.
And then I think even passed down to the children in the sense. I think your Uncle Manny's daughter, I feel like she's slightly lighter.
Oh, she's like
than you guys
porcelain.
are. Yeah.
She has this porcelain white complexion. It's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, but my dad, see there. Now this is okay. Don't judge me.
Teenage JMC.
This was my awkward stage. I think I was probably 12.
Oh, okay. Well, you're supposed to be awkward at 12.
12 or 13, and probably a year before, no, less than a year before, my mother talked me into cutting my hair really short, and I did, and I hated it. So then she talked me into, well, get a perm. Why? I don't know, because my hair already has a curl to it, and I did, and this is what it turned out looking like.
Wow, this whole picture is a fire hazard from the curtains to
the couch.
to the couch to your hair.
The velvet couch.
Everything's a fire hazard.
Well, this is very early 80s. So still, the fashion is still late 70s here.
nice-
Look at the lampshade.
I know, right?
That lamp was heavy as fuck, man. It was all metal, made of iron or something.
It looks like it is.
Those end tables were heavy. All furniture back then was just so heavy. It wasn't just simply moving the couch so you can vacuum under it. No, you needed 3 people to move that shit. It did have plastic on it at one point. By this time, my mother had already removed it.
So did your dad have a song that he he liked to either sing to you guys or sing around the house or listen to?
He used to come in singing, "I love you, baby."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He used
If
to.
it's quite all right,
Yeah.
I love you.
He would come and sing it in his way. And from work, like, because sometimes we would hear him coming in and sometimes we wouldn't. So when we wouldn't, he would like sneak into the kitchen, from outside, singing it. And yeah, that song always reminds me of him.
Did he know the words or did he just make up his
No,
own?
he knew the chorus, and the rest of the time was na 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 na. My dad was so much fun.
Did he have a voice?
My dad, when he sang, because there were times where he would get with people like at parties or something, and they would start singing some song, and it would turn into like a quartet or something. My dad had a voice. My dad had a very powerful voice, which he passed down to me. Thank you, Dad. So talented. He had a very powerful voice. He can carry a tune. He was... if he would have taken he could have sang opera if he wanted to. He had good range.
Okay.
This is my dad now.
See that?
Yeah.
That's pop.
This is him attempting to button his shirt where he missed a few. So one side came out longer than the other. This is typical of my dad. My dad will do things. We used to sometimes, when we would go out, my mom would dread being around other people because my dad swore he knew everybody. And there were times we'd be like, "Oh, look, there's so-and-so." He's like, "Hey, Miguel." He's like, "Oh, no, Miguel? No? Oh, sorry." Like, he swore he knew everybody. My mother hated that. She said she used to be so embarrassed.
So does your dad have like style? Like, are you your dad the type that he don't even care about having his button like this? He's just happy and he's himself?
No, my dad cares about how he looks.
Okay.
He has always cared about how he looked. He, don't get me wrong, like home, he would love wearing his jeans and his t-shirt, whatever. But if he liked being social, so he hated being home.
Yeah.
So even on like, once I got into like my early teenage years, like he would every Saturday afternoon at midday, he would take me with him. He loved going to the bar. Any bar down neck, he usually would hit a couple of different ones. They were all Spanish known. Everybody knows each other at these places. It's a tight-knit community. And he used to take me to go get steak sandwiches. He loves steak sandwiches. And he didn't want to be home. He would always be at some place. And whenever he would go out, he would always make sure he looked nice. He had a nice shirt on, nice pants on, and he always wore his jewelry. Yeah, he wore all like the heavy gold necklaces.
Your dad like bling?
Big gold neck with big chunky things hanging
with
off
the medallions.
of him. With rubies and emeralds and bracelets. He had rings on every finger. He has a few rings with his initial on them that I thought at the end would have ended up being mine, But I had a son that has the same initials as him, so my son's going to be getting all of those. My dad's already given him a few.
Oh, okay. And was there anything? Is this the last picture?
I think there's one more. And this is me and my dad a few years ago.
I should have looked at it so I could have turned it the right way.
Yeah. That's okay. We can all do like this. Turn your phones. Oh, no, because the thing will turn. So those are my dad.
So was there anything that your pop, like any words of wisdoms that you can recall that your pop passed to you that either you didn't heed and you wish you did because it turned out he had a point, or that you did heed and it turned out listening to your pop was one of the best things to do, or just in general?
Yeah, actually he did. He had something that made quite an impact in my life, and he told me this pretty early on before I started having kids. And after he told me this, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not really that. Having kids really isn't that important to me. I could be okay without if I never have kids. I mean, of course, I love that my kids are here and it happened. But back then, that's how it started to make me think. And he would say to me, "Jackie, just remember, be careful how many kids you have when you get older." And I'd be like, "Why?" I thought he was going to tell me they're expensive. He would always say, little kids, little problems. Big kids, big problems. So try to minimize your big problems. So thanks, Dad, because I ended up with 2 great kids and really no problems with them.
Not that many big problems.
So that was words that went when
In fact, you had
did not fall upon deaf ears.
You had bigger problems with the people you chose to have kids with than you had with your kids. So,
Yes.
you
Yeah,
know.
so happy
don't we all?
birthday. Oh my God. Happy Father's Day, Dad.
Happy Father's Day, Pop.
Love you.
You know, big up to Pop. So,
Hey guys, it's JMC here from TMC4JMC show. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe, down below.
If not, we're gonna kill you. Nah.
We're not gonna
Love my baby.
We gotta do it again. We gotta do it again.